Hello, Wilcats. Kentucky's loss to Alabama in Nashville was brutal. But do you know what the locker room was like? With Pope, we really have a great captain? Let's talk about that. But first, subscribe to the channel. The 29-point loss to Alabama in the SEC tournament was a tough blow, perhaps one of the most challenging moments in recent Kentucky basketball history. However, the way Mark Pope and his players processed that adversity reveals not only the group's resilient mindset, but also their unwavering commitment to grow, learn, and move forward. For Pope, the pain of defeat is visceral, almost palpable. He doesn't hide it or try to minimize it. On the contrary, he embraces it as an essential part of the process of molding a team capable of competing on the biggest stages in college basketball. The Kentucky coach admitted that the night of the loss to Alabama was brutal on and off the court. A brutal locker room, in Pope's own words, reflects the emotional toll of such a crushing setback. Alabama, a talented and aggressive team, exposed Kentucky's vulnerabilities in a devastating second half. But Pope, known for his transparency and authenticity, made no excuses. Instead, he led his team through a deep introspection exercise, starting with a video review session that stretched into the early hours of the morning. For many coaches, burning the tape of such a humiliating defeat would be the obvious choice. But Pope sees value in facing reality, no matter how painful it may be. He knows that every mistake, every failure, carries a valuable lesson, especially when the next stop is the NCAA tournament. "You really go through a grieving process," Pope said, referring to the 5 classic stages of acceptance after a traumatic loss. He acknowledges that this process is as emotional as it is strategic. It's not enough to simply watch the tape. It's necessary to dig deep into the reasons why things went wrong and draw concrete lessons. Pope wants his players to understand that post-loss heartache is not something to be avoided, but rather embraced as fuel for growth. This philosophy speaks to the core of what it means to be an athlete under his leadership, to transform pain into motivation, to transform frustration into focus. And that's exactly what happened at Kentucky after that long night in Nashville. When the players left the locker room and boarded the plane back, something had changed. Pope described a shift in our hearts, in our focus, in our unity. The loss to Alabama, while bitter, served as a catalyst for strengthening the bonds between the players and the coaching staff. They didn't just discuss what went wrong. They shared their emotions, their frustrations, and, most importantly, their determination not to let something like that happen again. It was a healing session, but also a clear statement. This team still has a lot to prove. Pope, on the other hand, is quick to admit his own struggles with dealing with defeat. He describes himself as a sore loser, an admission that humanizes him and resonates deeply with players and fans alike. He makes no secret of the fact that losses affect him viscerally, so much so that he often gets angry at himself during post-game press conferences. But at the same time, he sees it as a strength, not a weakness. His emotional intensity is a reflection of how deeply he cares about the program, his players, and the legacy of Kentucky basketball. He knows that the pain of defeat is temporary, but the impact of lessons learned can be lasting. That mindset of learning from failure and turning adversity into opportunity is what defines Kentucky at this critical juncture of the season. The NCAA tournament brings with it another chance for redemption, and Pope is convinced his team is ready to seize it. The return of Lamont Butler to the roster is a big boost, but the real difference lies in the team's collective mindset. After the loss to Alabama, the Wildcats didn't fall apart. If anything, they came together even more. For Pope, time is a precious resource, something he emphasizes repeatedly. The window of opportunity to be a college player or head coach at Kentucky is short, and he doesn't want to waste a single moment. Absolutely not. Let's move on. And Kentucky's football recruiting scene is swarming. Andre Clark Jr., an elite safety in the 2026 draft class. With roots in Henrico, Virginia, Clark not only stands out as one of the top defensive prospects of his generation, but he's also emerging as a symbol of Kentucky's growing influence on the national recruiting scene. The four-star prospect, ranked among the top 200 players in his class, is being pursued by some of the sport's most established powerhouses, and notably, the Wildcats are well-positioned in that race. The announcement of Clark's final list of picks brought with it an important confirmation. Kentucky not only survived the initial cut, but also secured its spot among the 8 finalist programs. This achievement puts the Wildcats alongside giants such as Florida State, Miami, Michigan, and Tennessee, demonstrating the respect that the Mark Stoops-led program has garnered in recent years. It's no exaggeration to say that being in this group is a reflection of the hard work and strategic vision that have shaped Kentucky's competitive identity. For a program still seeking its first official commitment in the 2026 cycle, Clark's presence on the final list represents more than just an opportunity. It's a clear sign of progress. Andre Clark Jr., with his unique combination of speed, game intelligence, and defensive reading ability, is exactly the type of player who can take any defensive system to the next level. His ability to cover space, anticipate plays, and lead by example on the field makes him one of the most coveted prospects in the country. And while the competition is fierce, Kentucky has plenty to offer to convince the young safety that Lexington is the ideal place to take the next step in his career. Clark's scheduled official visits are a crucial part of this process. He is already locked in dates to visit Kentucky, Miami, Michigan, Syracuse, and SMU, and those visits will play a significant role in his final decision. For Kentucky, this is an invaluable opportunity to showcase everything the program has to offer. From the state-of-the-art facilities to the vibrant fan base to the player development philosophy championed by Mark Stoops, every detail counts. The family atmosphere and commitment to holistic growth could be the deciding factors for a player like Clark, who seeks not only success on the field, but also an environment that prepares him for the challenges of life after football. What makes this moment even more exciting for Kentucky fans is the possibility of Clark becoming the first major commit of the 2026 cycle. This would not be a one-off win, but a symbolic milestone that could attract other high-level talent to the program. In the world of college recruiting, the impact of a prestigious first pick can be multiplier, creating a snowball effect of interest and validation. If Clark decides to don the blue and white, he could catalyze a new wave of optimism and energy surrounding the Wildcats' future. It's worth noting the larger context in which this recruitment is taking place. Kentucky has worked tirelessly to build a solid foundation in regions historically dominated by other programs, such as Florida and Virginia. Clark's presence on the final roster is further proof that the program is able to expand its horizons and compete in traditionally hostile territories. This strategic move is essential to ensuring that Kentucky continues to evolve as a major force in college football. As the Andre Clark Jr. decision process enters its final phase, all eyes are on Lexington. The pressure is on, but Kentucky appears prepared to face this challenge with the same determination that has characterized its recent run. For Wildcats fans, the dream of seeing Clark in Kentucky's colors is a real possibility. Could he sign? Let us know in the comments.